Going to give our last presentation of the day. He's going to talk about VCF Southwest, from which he came from last night, back from the show. And also he's going to give on his SAM 440 that he's been working on for the last few years. He's going to give an update on the updates he's been doing to the computer. Go ahead, Bernie.
Thank you, Robert.
Hey.
So, this is totally unscripted, like very improvised. But basically, yesterday I was in Dallas at VCF Southwest. My first time there. I arrived a little early so I could go to this arcade, which is the 8-bit guy arcade, Time Rift, and you can get in with like $15 or $20 for the monthly pass, and it's both a real retro arcade and a real arcade with like real people going and not just nerds. They have some of my favorite games, like they have the Aliens. They had like Met Planets, some of the best classics I remember, and some modern stuff as well.
And where is VCF Southwest located?
So it's in Dallas.
Oh, Dallas, okay.
This is in Fort Worth, I believe.
Oh, Fort Worth, okay.
They're not far from each other. So I arrived on the morning of Saturday, or Friday at the show, and they were still setting up, and there were these really dusty monitors. Like there's a free pile where people drop their unwanted hardware. I'm sure the CRTs would be wanted. Someone will want them because they're getting rare and expensive. Mm-hmm. They were in a horrible condition. I'm not sure what happened to these. I don't know if the camera can see how dusty they are.
Wow.
And I thought it was ironic that these were wanted while the uncool printers, most inkjets, were undesirable, right? So, yeah, nobody wants inkjets at VCF. And so then I got in, and the first thing I notice is this rip-off of the Mega 65. It's the Common 65. Now, it's this retro keyboard that's more of a joke keyboard. The keys are all mismatched, right? There's an EFF key, and there's a Texas key, right? So this looks a little bit like a Gundam sort of graphics, right? So, yeah, like it's a little bit smaller than a Commodore 64, but you can tell where the theme. And there are other retro-themed keyboards here on display. So. Yeah, this is a Common 65 in case you want one.
Command 65.
I figured out who makes it.
Okay.
But mostly this show, well, there's also a Commander 16.
Okay, yeah.
Another competitor of the Mega 65. And it's actually displaying like high resolution, high color graphics. This is called David number 4, this one. I guess it's David's own like the 8-bit guy's own machine. I don't know who got serial number 1, 2, and 3, but that's number 4. So then there was an exhibit of Acorn and other like British computers with this funny compute like the Queen British computers. So
compute like the Queen.
Yeah. So this is the main chamber, the main hall of the of the show with lots of Macs. Like for some reason, Macs are very popular here. This weird Mac with a tall screen, I've seen them long ago. It's been a while since I saw one of those.
Full page display.
Well, this is just my badge. They give you this. I met the
David
8-bit
Murray
guy who gave me a signed copy. Actually, I have the original here. I have the physical copy here. I got a copy of Attack of the Pesky Robots. It's a fun game for all platforms like Amiga, Commodore 64, VIC-20. I highly recommend it. And I'm also wearing one of his shirts, but he was not selling them. I complained to him about this. He was not selling them on the show. You have to buy them online on his online shop. And I think it's one of the best shirts I have.
Definitely.
That's very good.
Yeah. I want one with a VIC for the VIC-2. So this is Mad Planets. Was not available at the Time Rift arcade because it was here. And this is one game you can play on emulators, but you're not going to get the controls. It's just basically this rotate thing and the joystick at the same time. It's a fun game. Mad Planets. I highly recommend it if you have the real thing. Not so much recommended on a keyboard. Not playable. So this it backwards, but basically this is a Sony mini disc. But this
Yes.
mini disc, it's a portable unit with a battery and so on. But this one is special because it also has SCSI. It has like a high
What?
density
It has
SCSI connector.
SCSI?
Which,
Huh.
yeah, I asked, what's the
Wow.
file system? Oh, it's proprietary Sony.
Oh, boy.
So, the mini disc, you can't say this in that room. Like, this is the whole mini disc room. MDCon 2025. You can't go there and say, wow, that was a flop, kind of a failed technology. But it's actually pretty impressive how many mini disc players exist. And almost all of them were sold only in Japan. I don't know how much it picked up here in the US, but in Europe, I hardly saw one in physically, and there are all sorts of weird pieces of hardware that go with mini disc. These are all different mini disc players. Mostly are Sony, or all of them are Sony.
Yeah.
And too bad I didn't take a picture of it, but one of them is barely thicker than a disc. It's
Right.
just the disc plus like a few millimeters above and below, just to make this, for the electronics. And it's ridiculously, integration was amazing, and the Japanese were very good at it. They were not good at standards because custom proprietary technology, and it failed in the end. Probably killed by solid state players like the iPod.
Yeah, this year they just stopped. Sony just stopped
Yes,
making mini
they
discs.
told me a few months ago they
Yeah.
stopped making them. They were being
Mini
used,
DVs and mini discs.
yeah, they were used by like Japanese government. The Japanese
Oh,
government was of
government.
course always jumping on these strange technologies, and they require for paying taxes always some like cards that are PCM-CIA or mini discs, so you can never pay your taxes online like everybody else in the rest of the world. So these are also Japanese PCs. This is a PC98, also
Oh.
another failed technology. I think it never reached popularity in Europe, and I've never seen them in the US as well, other than here.
There were a few, but they were very rare.
They were rare. So this is a case for the Commodore 64, actually Commodore 64C. They're interoperable, like you can take your 64 board
Right.
and put in a 64C case. It's a transparent one. I thought, I would like one, but maybe the bread bin, and the bread bin also exists, but it wasn't on display. They also made a replica keyboard. Unfortunately, this one has the engravings are on the same side, like they're not on the side of the keys.
Oh.
It's cheaper this way, a single print. But anyway, it's a nice keyboard. It's nice touch, nice to type on. This is the same case in black. Same view, like I said it's unscripted. It's also not sorted correctly. It's just my photo album from the show from yesterday. More PC98 stuff. Next, there were a few of them. I don't know which one is which. I guess this one is the color, because I see color here. I'm not very familiar with the next, so this is a color next. There was a cube on the left, on the right of it. I don't have a picture of it. Someone here made a trivia game with 9 CRT screens. Then this is a real Tetronics 4051. It's barely visible because of the anti-glare screen, which is ironic because of the anti-glare screen you can't see it. Okay, now finally the phone focused on the layer behind, on the CRT. Yep, and now you can see it. Yeah, it's still working. So this other, I don't recognize what's in here, but I like this computer. I like this one. Someone who knows what it is should
Oh,
say.
that's Dave Levitt's PDP-11.
Oh, okay. So that you mean? But what about this?
That is,
Ah,
yes.
it is.
Put it
Okay.
inside a transparent case.
So let's see what else is there. This looks like a not so microprocessor. I'm not sure what it is.
Not so micro.
Yeah. So unfortunately, or fortunately, a lot of the stuff in this room is from before me, my era. So I'm not sure what some of this hardware is. This is a good example. Yeah, seeing double. So this is the original Nova 1200, and this is the clone. You can see this is the original board. It's hand-drawn PCB, right? And this is a replica. It looks older, to be honest. Yeah, so there are people at a VCF doing replicas of PDP-11s, DEC hardware. This is a normal Amiga 1000. There was just a little Commodore hardware at the show. It's not mainly Commodore oriented, but here it is. There's also a Checkmate Amiga 1200 running OS 3.2. And there was just this one table with 4 or 5 machines on it. I only videoed those 2. Oh well, there was also this 128. This is a prototype. You can see there's like wired boards in it. It's a prototype with a 3.5-inch drive. And while the case, the back of the case is just a normal mold, the front had to be, it's some like special plastic painted. Yeah, it's a prototype, right? Well, they only made one of these, so it's a very valuable, precious machine. With also the advertisement here, bad news for IBM and Apple. Yeah, the Commodore 128 PC is out, and oh, this one is interesting. So this VIC-20 has a replaced VIC chip. It's similar to the VIC-2 Dizer, well, the VIC-2 Kawari, but this one is the VIC-1. So someone made one of these. And if this camera is good enough, you can also scan the QR code and go there. Yeah, you can see it run. I should have a video of it. Not this one. So it has new color mode, like higher resolution graphics, and can do more than the VIC could. So there it is. This should be a video. Yeah, you can see there are more colors on screen. Yeah, so it was running a demo of all the new capabilities. And also this thing is not part of it, this is just to flash it. It's being flashed from a is it Raspberry Pi? It's a Pi Zero or maybe a Teensy. So, but anyway, it's just a debug tool or development tool. Yeah, this is a Central Texas Commodore user group. This is the table I mentioned earlier.
I keep thinking I should visit them.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing, the bottom line of this is, by all means, if you can go to Dallas, go see VCF Southwest. There are many VCF shows, Vintage Computer Fest shows, but each one is unique, and this one is more like Texas Instruments, HP, Tandy, all the things that were, made in Texas. So these are other Japanese computers, right? Toshiba, another collection of, what is it, Wavy?
Are those MSX computers?
Yamaha, I'm not sure. This is a Yamaha YIS 604. So here I show my ignorance. This is a Canon MSX. This is an MSX, for sure. This one is not clear. It's a Toshiba home computer 64K. MSX too, yeah.
I see MSX logos on all of these.
Okay, so they're all MSX, okay. Then what is this, right? This is a Nintendo something, Guroku something. So I'm not sure what this is. And this is kind of mismatched. There is also a RAM expansion for your VIC-20, I believe. More of those. This is an Apple II with some other Apple hardware next to it. Oh, there was this interesting exhibit of the Weather Channel hardware. So people who presumably worked on it put together a whole collection of hardware that would show the weather forecast real time on a screen. They had a projector. I didn't take a picture of it. So they broadcasted all this composite thing with video plus overlay text and so on, right? With a lot of, like a whole rack of stuff. So this one is Compute Like Gorby, another exhibition. Like Soviet computers, there are a lot of them and they're weird. Of course they have Cyrillic keyboards, right? And there is also Roman, probably with a shift or some CV key or whatever would show. And then there was a rip-off of Bubble Bubble. Unfortunately, I didn't video it. It was identical to graphics. I don't know if we would infringe if they were into the same copyright league. of the West would have been sued, but they were not. And this is what Tetris is actually spelled in Cyrillic. That's not what you thought. Yeah, there's no backwards R in it, and that's Tetris. You can barely recognize it. This one is very glitchy, but they told me it's the HDMI converter. It's not glitchy for real. It's just the This is me videoing the whole exhibit. I'll go back to the beginning of this video where you can see Tetris a little bit. And this computer is also interesting because it's a PDP-11, which I said, well, that's not a PDP-11, right? I know what's a PDP-11, but it is. It's a PDP-11 processor with video and other stuff added to it by the Soviets. So it's the PDP-11 architecture, but extended. I think you might, See, it's based on a 16-bit PDP-11 compatible processor, blah, 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 3 megahertz. So it's the PDP-11 from the future.
From the future?
From the Eastern Bloc. So what else is there? Next, sorry, I gotta get out of video. More of this exhibit. This is a indie. The indie also was showing this morphing, real-time morphing, or I guess, real-time player of morphing. Nice machine. Those were rare in Italy. This is a plotter. I usually think printers are uncool, but this one is pretty cool. It's a plotter, and it's a 6-pen plotter, very fast, very high resolution. I've never seen something like this. It must have been very expensive, and it still works. So they're probably very hard to service, these things. And it was drawing art instead of the usual CAD graphics. There was a sign that they could make your profile picture into plotter print.
Wow.
This one is also an interesting exhibit. This one is a Wi-Fi network card. It connects to the Commodore 64 over the IEC, am I saying it right? IEC cable. So it's actually a serial card, and it connects also here to the user port just for 5 volts for power.
Okay.
And I'm afraid I didn't take pictures of it, but the other machines next to it, Atari 800, Apple II, there were like a bunch of 8 bits, can all connect to it somehow. And the idea is to be able to quickly interact. Like this is basically a little basic program that can do an HTTPS request. So then the card embeds also a TCP stack and HTTPS, so SSL, TLS, and you can code to it by just opening a file on the Commodore 64 and then sending a HTTPS request, and then you can do JSON parse on the network card side, so you can only just read a string. In this case, it's a random joke from Chuck Norris. There's one, Chuck Norris has a blood pressure reading of 0/0. Chuck has never felt any pressure. And so then I moved on to a different room where you see this like awkward VIC-20 that's modded with a strange keyboard by Synchronous Technologies. And there's do not touch, it's scopes doing XY mode stuff. And I realized there's a basically crazy awesome professor, it's Professor Balsamo, has a whole lab of retro computing stuff, and her students are enjoying learning design and media arts and electronics, of course, by servicing, maintaining, and improving and developing technology like this. So I now move on. I have more pictures of this later. They're not sorted correctly. I found like a PC reseller who had a shop. He has all sorts of video cards, so I was looking for a video card that would be compatible to my SAM. I'll tell you about the SAM later in the video. But he basically browsed through his entire collection, and they're hard because he doesn't say anywhere what they are. What is this? I think it's a Radeon 900 to 90, well, I don't know, basically. He does. He basically visually recognizes each one of them. Oh yeah, this one is 4 gigs, this one is 8 gigs. And so he found the one I wanted eventually. It's not easy to, because there are a lot of them. Then, this Saturday night show, actually Friday night show, like there's nearby live music in a watering hole called Guitars and Beers or something like that. So, this guy here makes vintage 3D retro tributes that you can buy. This is Karateka, one of my favorite games, and also Amiga, I guess. It's a precursor of Prince of Persia, the more famous Prince of Persia, same game style, or same animation style. Then, yeah, so this is another Next, but this one has a like bootleg Zulus Kazi, made by the a Next enthusiast who also designed this accelerator card. This is like 64, 68 or 40 accelerator with, you can't see it here, but with a bunch of cache, external level 2 cache, which is something, it's not a thing on the Amiga usually, right? You would put more RAM on the board itself. And in this case, on the Next, he explained, you must use the onboard memory because it's a DMA machine, it has a lot of DMA all over the place, and it would not be able to DMA into your CPU card memory. And so, and this is designed to speed up the Next. Yeah, this is one of the students of Professor Balsamo who demoed this weird dog. This dog is an OCR machine by the, am I saying it right, like Xerox, Park Xerox, the research center? So they made this as a demo, a technology demo, and yeah, it contains 2 cameras in the eyes, and it can basically scan a document you put in front of it. That's why it also has a, like this holly.
The dog reads?
Yeah, the dog, yeah, this exhibit was called Teaching an Old Dog New Tricks.
Oh.
Yeah. So the students of this professor are clearly like both very competent and very enthusiastic about the class. I mean, where do you get to do this, right?
What did the Halo do?
What does
the Halo? What did that do?
the what?
It's just a light onto the document.
Ah,
Oh,
well,
okay.
it's improving. Well, it wasn't working in the afternoon because the light was pointed in the eye. It was basically blinding the dog, the light from the window. So it only worked in the morning. So this is more about the lab. They have basically a bunch of phones all over the VCF, and sometimes it would ring next to you, like, ring. I said, what do you do, pick up these headphones? What are you going to do with it? And it's basically a phone game called Cold Line. I played for like 15 minutes, and it's a fantastic adventure game where you dial into the White House because a missile was launched towards New York by the Russian bloc, and you work at the Kremlin. You're supposed to dial in and talk to the president and stop it. But unfortunately, they lost the hotline, so you have to use the cold line, and you get routed and say your call is very important to us. You're number 14 in line. Your average wait time is going to be 30 minutes, and you only have 10 minutes, right? And so you have to get through and hack through their system until you get the launch codes. Or actually, not the launch codes. You need security codes to intercept the missile from the, at some point you get into a menu where it says, did you know that you can launch a missile intercept mission directly from this phone system? You just need to digit the 6 digits, intercept code.
Oh, gosh.
And so eventually you figure, and it was nicely presented. This lab is amazing. I recommend, if you find the phone number of University of Texas in Dallas, and you dial in, then dial the extension 32. Well, it's in this video at the beginning. Dial the correct extension and get into this system and play it. It's fun. There is a lot other stuff in this lab. You can see this professor is a collectionist, right? The collection is great. It spans a bunch of eras. It's a lot of analog and early digital electronics. And these screens are showing nothing, but then I realized it says here, there's a quotation from, yeah, can you read it? Oh no, my camera does not, yeah, there's a quotation from William Gibson, like the sky was the color of a TV set to that channel, right? And so on. So it's beautifully presented, and it's all live, usable. It's also a repair lab, like with soldering irons and stuff. It's actually a real university lab, plus the media stuff. And what else? I got to see a bunch of, there was like an exhibit on checkmates. They're fantastic monitors. I'll pick one up when I'm in Europe. This fantastic carry-in board, like bag. Like this is great for all your retro machines with all sorts of connectors. Then what else is there? Oops. Oopsie. How do I get out? The manual is also a work of art. Like this is a fantastic manual. It has like more than just the circuit diagram. It has explanation of how it works, so you can extend it. You know, connectors. You know, pretty much everything explained. Brilliant, beautiful project. This also is a work of art. Or practical art. This is what, you know, PCBs were like when they were hand-drawn. And it's funny that the normal look that we used to see with the, you know, 45 degrees angles, it's a limitation of CAD software, and it got, you know, all the way to now we're doing 45 degrees because now it's the aesthetics that every engineer, electrical engineer expects. And they would think this is, oh yeah, if you make it curvy then it's ugly. But actually this is slightly better for the signals. So there's a recent YouTube video exactly on this problem, like why don't boards look like this now that computers can do curves and can do Bezier and stuff, like why don't we do that? Well, it looks ugly to the engineers who have been looking at PCBs for too long. So that, okay, there it is, dial 3100 to save New York. Then this is Pesky again. There was like the cake. The free cake is not a lie.
All right.
I got some free cake.
Free cake, yes.
Yeah, this giant knife. What is this? Oh, well, I don't have a great video of this too, sorry. This was not meant to be a talk, right? It was meant to be my private photos, but I do have a short video. You go to Texas and of course you run into a shooting of some kind. So there's a 500, Amiga 500 board connected to a emulator of a laser disc.
Okay.
And on a CRT screen. And this is a video game very similar to Space Ace or Dragon's Lair, but instead of being just two buttons, like just a joystick, you shoot at the screen, and they have like filmed a bunch of cowboys, and you know, it's Far West themed. It was great to see it in Dallas.
Interesting.
It's the right place. And what else? Snappy ROM. Skimming over all these things. So what is this? Oh yes, this gentleman here designed a 68K, a homebrew 68K computer from scratch with video. Like, unfortunately, I didn't have time to ask him more about the video hardware because it looked very capable. It was an FPGA next to the CPU, but this guy designed a 68K machine from scratch, which is not an Amiga. It's a completely different system. It shows how it took $1 million companies, actually $1 billion companies, to make computers in the, you know, when I was a kid. And now someone can do this on, you know, it's a weekend project, well, multiple weekend project, but someone very skilled, very motivated can create a entire new machine with its own tool chain, its own, you know, operating system and so on from scratch. Then this is the same thing again with the same software again, a little bit more of the other machines. O2, right? Ozone or Octane, what is it? Silicon Graphics. This is again the next scene from above. Here you can see the cache. This is the level 2 cache. The guy was still fighting some coherence problems with I/O. Like, it's hard to get it to work on an operating system that you don't have the source code for. Because Next Step is open source. I believe the real Next OS for the real Next machines is not open source. So you have to deal with it when you have new hardware, right? So you can't, for example, switch to a 68060. And this is nothing. This is the end of it. The epilogue is that my flight was severely delayed to come here, and then here I am. So this weekend I was triple booked. There was like VCF, this, and the ET party in Boston, which is the only demo scene party in the US that I'm aware of, at least. But unfortunately, something gotta give. You guys should spread these events on different weekends. So, do you want to cut, or should I go ahead and talk about the SAM now?
We will cut. Thanks, Bertie, for your talk on VCF.